Pro tip for all left-leaning content creators: do legal research before giving arguments about this. Roe v. Wade is almost impossible to defend from a legal standpoint. Push for legislation. Oh, I'm sorry, Justice Sotomayor or Justice Kagan, you are not legally trained. I'm sorry, it's impossible to defend according... Omniliberal had something to say. What an absolute total dullard. I mean, he's a guy who got his, he's got his last Twitter account banned because he tried to take an LSAT on stream and he did so poorly that it, like, trended. So many people were laughing at him for failing the LSAT that it trended, and then people were like, oh, it's a ban evasion account? Abbott said Wednesday that Texas would consider challenging a 1982 Supreme Court decision requiring states to offer free public education to all children, including those of undocumented immigrants. Greg Abbott said Wednesday that Texas should consider challenging a 1982 U.S. Supreme Court decision requiring states to offer free public education to all children. Texas already long ago sued the federal government at having to incur the cost of an education program in a case called Pyler versus Doe. And the Supreme Court ruled against us on the issue. I think we will resurrect that case and challenge this issue again because the expenses are extraordinary and the times are different than when Pyler versus Doe was issued many decades ago. Abbott raised the possibility of challenging the ruling on education during a discussion about border security, about whether the state could take steps to reduce the burden of educating the children of undocumented migrants living in Texas. We're talking about public tax dollars, public property tax dollars going to fund these schools to teach children who are 5, 6, 7, 10 years old who don't even have remedial English skills, Aguilario said. This is a real burden on communities. What can you do about that? The challenges put on our public systems is extraordinary, Abbott said. Texas already long ago sued the federal government about having to incur the costs. I think we'll resurrect that case and challenge this issue again because the expenses are extraordinary. Oof, man. Okay. A 5-year-old is utterly blameless for immigration law, and a society that refuses to educate children, innocent children, and leave them to be illiterate, to be unable to communicate. I can't imagine something that's more likely to cause rampant criminality, disaffection, and social decay than that. Can you imagine having bands of roaming people that are second-class citizens that are untouchables who can't even be taught to read? What that's gonna do to our society? Are you fucking nuts? I literally, and I have to say this, I think that the Republican Party is the most dangerous organization on the planet, and defeating them has the same moral standing as defeating the Nazis did. I don't think, even at the zenith of their power, the Nazis didn't represent as much of an existential threat to humanity's survival as the GOP does today. Their position on climate change, their position on nuclear weapons, their position on our world represents an existential threat. They've already killed 1 million people with COVID-19. 1 million Americans are dead because of COVID-19. 1 million! 1 million! And we're so complacent that I didn't even really report on it when we crossed the 1 million number. We're so exhausted from fighting with conservatives over this issue, we didn't even care. 1 million.
You've called the Republican Party the most dangerous organization on earth.
In human history. There has never, it's an outrageous statement, and when I said it, I said, look, this is a very outrageous statement, but is it true?
But you're rating them worse than the Kim Jong-un of North Korea.
What? Of course they're more than Kim Jong-un hasn't killed even a fraction of the people the GOP has already killed. What?
Or ISIS, who are very...
Is ISIS dedicated to trying to destroy the prospects for organized human existence?
Right, is that bad, the Republican
What
Party?
does it mean to say not only we're not doing anything about climate change, but we're trying to accelerate the race to the precipice?
And you don't entertain the possibility that they may be genuine in their belief that this is...
And by the way, this includes centrist Democrats. I think the mistake people make is they think centrist Democrats are different. They're not. Centrist Democrats just voted with the Republicans to strip a measly $8 billion that was being spent on climate funding. Just last night.
Doesn't matter whether they genuinely believe it or not. But if the consequence of that is,
it was 50
let's
to 44.
use more fossil fuels, let's refuse to subsidize developing countries, if that's the consequence, that's extremely dangerous.
All right, Chris Small speaking. Let's check out the Chris Small speaking. People are excited about it, so let's check it out.
Thank you for having me. Well, first off, I want to address Mr. Graham. First off, it sounded like you was talking about more of the companies and the businesses in your speech, but you forgot that the people are the ones who make these companies operate, and if we're not protected, and if the process for when we hold these companies accountable is not working for us, then that's the reason why we're here today. That's the reason why I'm here to represent the workers who make these companies go. And I think that it's in your best interest to realize that it's not a left or a right thing. It's not a Democrat or a Republican thing. It's a workers thing. It's a workers issue. And we're the ones that are suffering in the corporations that you're talking about, in the businesses that you're talking about, in the warehouses that you're talking about. So that's the reason why I think I was invited today to speak on that behalf. And you should listen, because we do represent your constituents as well. So just take that into consideration, that the people are the ones that make these corporations go. It's not the other way around. So as the current interim president of the Amazon Labor Union, who represent 8,300 workers in Staten Island, an independent worker-led union that won their election on April 1st, I'm going to tell you this. We organized for over a year, and throughout the course of that year, Amazon spent millions of dollars, as you mentioned, Senator Sanders. Myself, including a few other organizers, was arrested outside for organizing, arrested for delivering food to their coworkers. I wanted to reiterate that as well. The type of things that Amazon do, breaking the law, intimidation, these are real things that traumatize workers in this country. Thousands of workers across this country who are in the process of organizing, who have the desire to organize in the United States. We want to feel that we have protections. We want to feel that the government is allowing us to use our constitutional rights to organize. The notion that people in the united in this democracy will outmatch tyranny is the oldest American ideal. There's clearly defined legal process to do this, and workers like us have the rights protected by the First Amendment and the National Labor Relations Act. However, despite all of this, our victory in Staten Island was lauded as newsworthy and inspirational for the thousands of workers across the country, hundreds of thousands of workers. And even though we may have won, we did everything right, pressuring Amazon to recognize our victory and comply with our legal obligation to meet us at the bargaining table. But Amazon is refusing to do so. As you mentioned, they're going to stall. They filed 25 objections, and they got the NLRB to move the hearing to a whole nother location. To me, it just sounds like the corporations have the control, and they control whatever they want. They break the law, they get away with it. They know that already, that breaking the law during these election campaigns won't be resolved during the election campaigns. So they purposely continue to break the law. For example, we filed over 40 ULPs in 11 months. Most of them, or quite a few of them, got merit for further action. Some of them even got injunctions. For example, Gerald Bryson was fired 2 years ago. Finally, over 2 years later, there's a 10J in motion for his reinstatement. Another prime example, Daquan Smith was fired by the company for organizing. He's still out of a job. He's living in a shelter right now. We raised money through GoFundMe. These are just a few examples, including myself, who's been out of a job for the last 2 years. I want to just end off by saying this. We need to pass the PRO Act so that workers are protected and workers are encouraged to organize. And if that don't work, I'm going to let you know right now that on behalf of the Amazon Labor Union and the hundreds of thousands of workers across this country, that we will continue to organize. And once again, I want to remind you that this is not a left or right thing. This is the working class issue. And the workers at the bottom are the ones who make these corporations go. Thank you.
What I love about Chris is he is in touch with the people that are working in his union. He is not a suit. He's not somebody from a Harvard law school. He's not sitting there as some sort of PMC. I got a 1550 on my SATs nerd. He is somebody who is in the trenches and fighting and relating to people that are there. And if you find yourself, I've heard of white people being like, he's unprofessional and he's wearing grill and blah 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 blah. That is very thinly veiled racism. I'm not gonna lie. It's very thinly veiled racism and classism. The guy fucking rules, and I'm glad to see him engaging with our political system while also getting that stuff on the ground. And listen, he's got a lot to. The Amazon labor union has got a lot more work to do. They've got to negotiate and win over more warehouses. They got to organize more places, and they've got to win a contract. He's a working class motherfucker who looks and acts exactly like one. And that's what makes him such an exciting leader. That's what makes him such an exciting leader. Look at this fit. Look at this fit. Looks like fucking legendary. Truly, truly based, dude. Truly based. Love to see it. Love to see it. You have an obligation to like, comment, and subscribe.